So you know it was a good reading month when the stack of books that you read is almost as tall as you when you're sitting down. So we're going to get into this because I have a feeling that we're going to be here for a while. First up on the stack, we have Agatha Christie, Murder in Retrospect. Actually, what am I doing? Hi, hello, welcome back to my channel. Obviously, we are going to be going through all of the books that I read in August. I am so sorry, that was so rude. I didn't even say hello, I didn't introduce anything. I'm Hannah, and I'm a bit of a mess today, but welcome to the chaos. Back to what I was saying. Murder in Retrospect by Agatha Christie. This one takes a case that happened 16 years prior, and Hercule Poirot reopens it to see whether or not the person responsible actually should have been held responsible. Now this one kind of gets a little bit boring because he's talking to everybody that was there, and it's just a lot of repetition in their storyline with only slight variances. But it was interesting because you really had to pay close attention to what all the little differences and details were to try to parse out whether or not the actual crime was what everybody thinks happened. So I liked it in that regard, but it was definitely one of her slower paced ones. Then my classic for the month was Othello. I really don't like William Shakespeare. I only read this because I still had it, and I was like, oh, I should just refresh my memory on this. And it's pretty much just like, I don't even remember. There's like this whole thing about a guy that marries her, and everybody's like up in arms about that. And somebody that's an enemy to him starts planning in his head that like she's stepping out on him and everything. And it's just like this whole plot about jealousy and rivalry and nonsense, and in true William Shakespeare fashion, everybody dies at the end. Sorry if that's a spoiler, but like if you've read any of his tragedies, you'll know that that's how they go, which is why I don't like his writing, because I'm like, you kind of just go, I don't know what to do, everybody dies. Yeah. Then I Heard That Song Before by Mary Higgins Clark. This one was pretty good. It's about a girl who, when she was 6, Horton, what are we doing? When she was 6, she was in like this chapel that she had stuck into in a wealthy home, and she had heard someone say, I heard that song before, after they were getting in a fight over money. That same night, somebody turns up dead. Years later, she is married to the person that's like the prime suspect for that murder, and he's actually been linked to a couple other murders as well, and people aren't really sure if like his wives keep turning up dead because he sleepwalks or because something is actually going wrong and people are sort of blaming him for it. If that makes any sense. It probably didn't make sense. I'm sorry. So this one was actually pretty good. I enjoyed it. It was like another 3-star read. Hers are just really like cozy mystery. There's nothing like edge of your seat creepy about them, but I enjoy them for that. Then I read Labors of Hercules by Agatha Christie. This was supposed to be my July one for her, and I never got to it, so of course I had to read it. This is like 12 short stories where Hercule Poirot is like at the end of his career, and he goes, I really need something fantastic as like a capstone for my life and my career in crime. So he is trying to find these 12 Herculean style crimes that sort of tie into like all of their Herculean stories for like Greek mythology, like the apples of Hesperides. Why did I have to pick the one I can't pronounce? The Nemean lion, stuff like that. I didn't really enjoy this because Agatha Christie plots, to be done well, need time and space to expand and for you to really get to know the characters, because there's always so many characters, and like just it to develop. Short stories just don't do it for her, and then the ones that he did pick were just so weird. So I didn't really enjoy this one, not really one that I would recommend for her. Then I read Leather and Lark. This is the second book to Butcher and Blackbird. I know a lot of people say that they don't really like this one in comparison to Butcher and Blackbird, that the writing went downhill. I've read them so far apart that I can't really do that comparison. I really enjoyed this. I thought the beginning was a little bit slow. Wasn't really sure that I was going to get into it. But once we got into like the arranged marriage aspect of this, I really liked it. He's a contract killer. She is technically a singer, but she sort of has this side hobby where she's killing people, you know, casually, like people do. Of course, she has her reasons and everything. It's not just arbitrarily doing this. And he doesn't know this about her. They form this arranged marriage to sort of help get him out of his contract killing profession. And it's also a way to sort of protect some people that are important to Lark's personal life without giving too many details away. I just thought that once they were married and learning more about each other and actually trying to care and everything like that, that they were really cute together. And I felt like there was a really good connection made. I laughed so many times in this book. I was reading at my boyfriend's house and like just couldn't stop laughing, and he'd look over and he's like, what? And I'm just like, it's just, yeah. It caught me off guard. You just don't think that books like this should be funny, but they really are. It's like dark humor, comedy, and yeah. Then we have Vacation Wars by Tessa Bailey. If you watch my reading blog, reading summary books for a week, you'll know I said I was temporarily DNFing this one. I did technically push through and finish it, but I was like a hate finish and I skimmed it for the most part. This was like a 2-star read. I just couldn't get behind this. It's supposed to be about these 4 women that go to Greece to have a girls' trip right before one of the girls is getting married. The girl that's getting married has a twin sister who doesn't have a lot of luck in her love life recently. She's turned 30 and they're all like, hey, you signed this contract with us in high school where it said, if you don't have somebody by 30, we get to take over your love life. So they decided to do that. And instead of having a good girls' weekend, they're trying to push everybody on her and get her set up. And it was very much like giving high school, you need to have somebody for the prom vibes. And they were just insufferable for women in their 30s. They were getting really mean. And I didn't enjoy it at all. Then we have 20 Years Later. This was such a cool premise for a thriller book. It is about a TV show host who starts looking into the identification of remains from 9/11. And it's this huge thing because a lot of the remains hadn't been identified in years and years. And when she starts digging into this, just to do like this sort of feel-good piece around the anniversary of that tragedy, she realizes that the remains are actually of a woman that was tied to this very scandalous death and was going to be indicted on it, but then this happened. She ended up dying in the rubble, and obviously the crime just sort of went to the wayside. Like nothing really ever happened with it because their primary suspect was dead. So she starts digging into this and it just takes a wild turn. I really liked it up until like maybe the last 10%. I felt like the way the story wrapped up went from having a linear story plotline to sort of like a Spark Notes ending where it was like a couple chapters of okay, and this happened to them and this happened to them, and like the writing style just sort of fell apart, like I said, and it was like a summary of events rather than an actual like playing out of how it went, which I didn't really like. So it probably would have been a 4-star read if it weren't for that. I think I dropped it down to like 3.5, but I think a lot of people would really enjoy this. I listened to the audiobook for it actually, and it was phenomenal. It's available on Kindle Unlimited. If you already have the membership, you don't have to use like a credit to listen to it at all. Another book that I read for my summary reads was Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. I was craving a cowboy romance and wanted something new. I didn't want to read another Elsie Silver. I wanted to experience a new author. So I picked this one up, and it is about a young woman who used to be a professional barrel racer. She gets injured, so she comes back to her hometown, and while she's at the farm, she ends up coming across her brother's best friend who works there and is actually the owner of the local bar. And they've known each other since they were little, and they always used to like antagonize each other and stuff. And naturally, things have now changed. I loved this book. This was, did I give this a 4 or 5 star? I don't remember what I gave this. I think right now I'm going to settle on like a 4.5. I really enjoyed it. I loved their connection. I felt like it was a really like deep connection. He helps her heal a lot throughout this book. And just the way that they realize that they have feelings for each other was so natural. I loved the just nostalgia for horseback riding because I grew up riding horses, and it just gave me all those happy feelings and made me really like long for that time when I was able to do that in my life. And it just, yeah, it gave those country cowboy vibes. I think the only thing I didn't like about this is something that's inherent to Brother's best friend. Most of the time, the brother is going to be very angry when he finds out that his sister is dating his best friend, and how dare you, you're my best friend, you shouldn't be with my sister. Like, dude, you like him for a reason, get over it. Why is it suddenly now you don't like him because he's with your sister? Like, I never understood that overprotectiveness, overbearingness. It drives me nuts. So, didn't like that aspect of it. But I know that that's going to be in there for that trope most of the time. Then I read Every Summer After and One Golden Summer. I'm talking about them in tandem because they are technically connected. This one is about like a second chance romance where it was like these 3 kids that met, and every summer they used to hang out when she would go to her family's lake cabin, and she ended up developing feelings for the one brother, They had a little bit of a romance, but then something happens. They don't talk for like 10 years, I think. And then she has to go back to the lake town because like something terrible has happened. She goes back and she is now back in the life of this, her young childhood love. And in true Carly Fortune style, it has like then and now timeline where you keep bouncing back and forth, finding out how they fell in love, and then present day where it's like struggling to figure out what they're going to do about this weird tension and everything. I love that. I love the nostalgia that all of her books give for just summer and trips to the beach, trips to the lake, stuff like that with your family, and just all of those feelings that it evokes. I think they do it really well. There is, of course, a trope in here that I don't like, but I'm not like everyone where I'm like, if a book has it, I absolutely am DNFing it. I don't really do that. It's only a 3-star because of that. Like, it's not my favorite, but I was still really willing to entertain this. This book connects with it because it is about the brother from this book, and his name is Charlie. He was actually my favorite character, which isn't good because it's supposed to be about his brother. He is introduced in this one as an adult, and it follows a young woman who goes back to the same lake town. She was actually there as a child when all the other 3 were, but she was never part of their group. She always felt like she was an outsider. She took pictures and everything while she was there. One of her most well-known pictures is of the other 3 on a speedboat, actually. And she was always that outsider looking in and was like, I really wish they would come and invite me to join them. And like, that was me as a kid, so that, like, I felt like I connected with her a lot on that. So as an adult, she's now meeting Charlie, and it's like, oh my god, I know you from when I was little. And she's there, I didn't even explain why she's at the cabin. She's there because her grandmother had fallen, or is her great aunt? No, her grandmother. Fallen and broken her hip. They needed somewhere for her to recuperate and just like take a load off, like de-stress. So this is where they decided to go. Watching Charlie accept the fact that he could fall in love and not just be this goofy oddball person in the room to make everybody laugh, that he could be somebody worth loving and have depth to, was so heartwarming and moving. Seeing him interact with her grandmother, I loved that. It was really cute. It was really sweet. I enjoyed this book so much. I understand why everybody loves this one. Gave me a lot of heavy feelings. I cried a little bit in it, like at one point. It was great. It's a 5-star read. Still gave that nostalgic feeling, even though it wasn't like a then now timeline. It still gave that nostalgia for like yearning for when you're a kid, and yeah, I loved it. Then the last book that I read for that reading blog was Nora Goes Off Script. This is not necessarily really summary. This is actually very much so like more of like a contemporary story with like a subplot of romance. Contemporary fiction, that's the word I was looking for. Like a women's fiction. And it follows this mom who, her marriage just suddenly ends when the husband is like, you know what? I'm not cut out for this life. I'm not meant to be a husband. I'm not meant to be a father. Peace. And he just leaves. And she didn't really feel a lot about that. She had kind of figured that the marriage wasn't really working, but she was trying to keep in it for her kids. So when he leaves, she's like, this is actually a lot easier for me. Like, I was kind of doing it on my own anyway. Now I can do it on my own without you wasting my money. She's a screenwriter. She writes this really moving movie about it, and a big production company picks up the script, and they actually have production at her house because a lot of it is written and set at her house. So once the TV crew leaves, the main male character, like the actor for her movie, he goes, can I stay here for like a week? I'll pay you. And it's sort of their romance and everything, but it just turns into so much more than that. The romance scenes are not like as heavily looked at. A lot of it is really just her learning to live life on her own, be a mom on her own, the willingness to open herself up to love again, open herself up to the reality that real love exists. It's not always just like, yeah, I'm okay with it walking out the door. It's really heartfelt. It made me cry a couple times, which I wasn't expecting. I was very frustrated with it, angry at one point, because I was like, this can't possibly be the way that this story is going. Like, I would strongly recommend it. It was a 5-star read. Just know it's not like the light, fluffy romance that you think it might be. Trying to move a little quicker because I know I'm rambling. We have The Grimrose Girls. This was a 1-star read. I hate finished this, if I'm being honest. This was another one that was available on Audible without any credits. I think that I said Kindle Unlimited earlier for the 20 years later. I meant Audible. My bad. Finished this on audiobook. It was supposed to be good. It's supposed to be about these girls at a boarding school in like Switzerland, like very remote. A girl turns up dead, and the other girls that were friends with her decide that like something's a little hinky about this. They find this book and they start to go, wait a minute, like there's all these deaths associated with the school and they're all tied to fairy tales. And the way that the original fairy tales, everybody dies, that's how people are dying in this. And they're trying to sort of figure out what's going on. It could have been executed so well, but it really, really wasn't. It's a YA book. I can love YA fantasy, but this was so YA that it doesn't go into the plot very well. They're just assuming everything. Oh yeah, like this is the only thing that makes sense, so therefore this must be actually what's happening, like this, because this is the only thing that we can come up with. They just automatically agree with everything. It's told in 4 different point of views, so you never really get to know the characters. They all sort of sound the same, and these girls that are supposed to be friends with each other are so mean to each other. I like don't believe that they're friends at all. There just was like no good resolution to this plot, no good explanation for any of it. So yeah, I didn't enjoy that. Then we have Rebel Without Claws. This is kind of cheesy, but it's still kind of cute at the same time. It's about a werewolf cage fighter who moves to this town and meets a local witch, realizes that she's his mate, and it's kind of just a silly, goofy romance about them falling in love with each other. There's no real heavy tension. In all honesty, like this is kind of forgettable. I don't remember most of the plot for this, so definitely a vibes book if you're looking for like a goofy fun time. Then I read Dark Fae. This is the first book in the Darkmoor Penitentiary series. Everybody said to go back and read this series after the first 3 in Zodiac Academy, so that is what I'm doing. And it is set at a different college or high school. It's Aurora Academy. The main female character in here, she joined the school because her brother turned up dead and she believes that he was murdered by one of the kings of this school. There's like 4 or 5 of them, I forget. So she goes to the school and she's trying to investigate this murder. And then of course there's the whole element of everybody being fae, having powers. I think this is going to end up being like a why choose situation. I'm not entirely sure. But she's trying to get close to like all of these kings of the school, that some of them are really mean, some of them are just really egotistical. I really enjoyed it. I think the mystery element added a lot to it, and I'm liking that it's a little bit different from the Zodiac Academy world, not so heavy on the bullying trope, which I appreciate. So yeah, I think I'm going to enjoy that series. Then we have The Last Legacy. This was a DNF. It was my last attempt for an Adrienne Young book. I don't even think I could tell you the plot because really nothing happened in this. Yeah, that's all I got for this. Like, her writing's very atmospheric, but I feel like her storylines, just nothing ever happens. Okay. 4 more books and then we're done, I promise. We have Girl in the Blue Coat. This was a historical fiction set during World War II in Amsterdam, and it follows this young woman who is sort of procuring goods for people that they don't typically have access to because of rationing during the war. And like, it's slightly subversive, or like she's not doing what she's supposed to. So kind of rebelling, but not really. She gets asked to look into the disappearance of a young Jewish girl that somebody was supposed to be hiding, and the girl ended up disappearing from the house. So she's not looking for her, sort of ends up in this network, like this underground network of a resistance trying to find her. And the whole book is really just a look at the way that really small acts during this time period could either be fighting back, resisting the Nazi rule and their regime, and ultimately like could all add up in little ways, even if it was just making a difference in one person's life. But also at the same time looking at the way that really small actions could end up hurting someone, if not ending somebody's life during this time when everything was so tumultuous. So it was a really just poignant and moving look at a time when everything was just in upheaval. And we have Shield of Sparrows. I had started this in July, just didn't end up finishing it. I think this is going to be a fantastic fantasy series. Just the way that this world is so different. There are these creatures in it that don't exist in other storylines that I've read anyway. And they're all like evil creations based off of like actual animals. Like there's something demonic about them. And they seem to be sick. So they're attacking people. So that you have that element of it. You have another element where this young woman is married off to a prince from a different kingdom, and she was never meant to be sent over there. Her sister was supposed to be doing this, and when they showed up, they were like, nope, we want that one instead. And now she's like tasked to pretty much try to kill him if she can, find out information for her father to take over this kingdom, and she's like, I am not cut out for this. Like, I was not raised to be the assassin, sword-wielding badass. Like, please get me out of here. I just really liked it because I felt like I said, the world was unique, the creatures was unique, and the sort of tension between her and one of the male characters in here, I was eating it up. Like, it's definitely a true, like, enemies to lovers, slow burn romance. I think a lot of people had issues with, like, the slow pacing of this because of the world building. I really didn't mind it. It was still a 5-star read for me. And like I said, I think the series is going to be really, really well done. I feel like I didn't explain that very well. I didn't do justice for that. So I'm sorry if that is the case at this point. I've been talking for so long that my brain feels like Bush. Then we have Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson. I loved this book. I read this in less than 24 hours. It is about a girl who gets bashed over the head during a home invasion, survives, but the doctor tells her, hey, like, this is short-lived. You can either undergo this surgery, like, that you have a 90% chance of dying from, or you can live for 7 days until an aneurysm ultimately kills you. She decides, I'm going to live for 7 days, or as long as I can, and I'm going to solve my own murder. And just the shenanigans that she gets into trying to solve this, because she's like, what are you going to do to me? I'm going to die anyway. Like, that parking ticket that I got, the vandalism charges that I could get because I just destroyed something. Don't care. I'm a girl on a mission. I'm going to die soon anyway. Like, cut me a break. I loved it. I figured out the ending, but only right near the end of the book. Like, there were a couple times along the way where I thought it was other people that were involved. Even once I got to the end, I wasn't quite sure the reason why it was the person that I thought it was. So I think it's a perfect way for a mystery to be done, where you can either figure it out if you're paying close enough attention, but only like near the end, or once the reveal is done, you can look back and go, oh, that makes total sense. I can't believe I missed that. Like, but it's not like a super big giveaway. So yeah, I loved this. I was laughing. I was enjoying it. I cried at the end because of the way that this wraps up. Like, really, really well done. And my last book is Escaping from Houdini. This is the third book in the Stalking Jack the Ripper series. It's a YA mystery where these two young adults who are really into, like, forensic medicine and autopsies and stuff, they keep finding themselves in the middle of these serial killer plots and having to solve it. In this one, they are on a cruise liner. There is a circus troupe. Houdini's there, and all these young elite women start turning up dead. And not just, like, dead in, like, a normal, oh, okay, she's on a bed, she's dead sort of way. No, like a hanging upside down or a bunch of knives out of your back sort of way. Like, really disturbing deaths that match with tarot cards and different things from the circus troupe. And it was just a really wild element and twist that these took. I still love the banter between these two main characters. I think it's cute. There was an extra sort of conflict thrown in here that I think some people don't like because they think it's unnecessary. I thought it added a little bit of drama to this, so I appreciated it. It's a great series. This was a 4-star read. I'm kind of sad that there's only one more book to go in the whole thing, but at some point you gotta run out of crazy serial killer plots that you guys end up in the middle of. So those are the 20 books that I read in August. I can't believe that I read that much. I know that some of those weren't very coherent thoughts anymore because I've just been talking for so long, so I apologize for that. If there's something you want me to explain in the comments, let me know. I won't be offended. And yeah, that is all that I have. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you guys in another video, hopefully very soon. Bye.